All right, I think we'll dive right in, and if anybody else joins in, they can just catch up. I want to take a moment just to invite you to find some stillness in your body. Sit up a little bit taller. Begin to become aware of your breathing. What we're doing right now is not to be dogmatic, but it is to let our bodies get the message that the day we've been living is coming to a close, and we're entering a different space. We're entering the space where we're not besieged by all these thoughts that our brain has been conditioned over so many generations of our ancestors and through so many experiences in this life, just constantly conjuring thoughts. And so often those thoughts are tinged with the worries, fears, and doubts that we're going to be speaking about releasing today. So know that as we take a moment to get still and sit firm in our seat and sit up and become intentional about our breath, we're not doing it because it's what people that like to do yoga do. We're doing it because it works, and it sends our body a signal that something is shifting. That something is different right now, and that we're entering a more sacred space where we can step out of that cycle of thinking, and we can begin to look at those thoughts and say, what here is actually serving me? What is something I'm meant to be looking at and being aware of? And what is just mishigas that I need to learn to not listen to so much? So let's all take a deep breath together. Inhale. Exhale. We're going to do 3 of these. It's worth the time. Inhale. And 1 more. Inhale. And now I call upon the highest creative forces in this universe. I call upon all benevolent beings of love and light to support this sweet group that has gathered together, this group that has felt inspired to come together, to have a good conversation about a worthy topic. And I ask that our words and our thoughts this evening be guided by these holy forces, that we might lay aside the limiting beliefs of our ancestors, that we might separate ourselves from our own preconditioned thinking, and that we might fully open ourselves up to the frequencies and the perspectives and the community and the connection that is wanting to come through for each of us tonight. I offer thanks for the life that I have lived that has led to this moment of inspiration to lead this conversation. I ask that Spirit guide my words, that when I speak, it not be from me, but it be from something higher wanting to come through. And I ask that the highest in each of these dear sweet souls that have gathered together be fully available, that they feel safe to share, to listen, and to allow perspectives to shift, always in a more loving, supportive direction, that we might all come into the highest potential for ourselves in this light, in this life, that we all might be receptive to the light, and that we all might rise toward that which is coming for us in glory. And with that, I say, Aho, gracias, mahalo sulpaiki. Amen. So it's I didn't plan this from a calendar perspective. I was sitting in meditation about a week ago, thinking that I wasn't going to do another one of these for a while because I was in a process of my own worries, fears, and doubts, and just kind of thinking, why am I doing this? And is this the right priority to be focusing on right now? And do these people even want to hear this? And as Spirit always works, and I started getting some unsolicited feedback of just how helpful these things have been and how much folks were looking to them. And next thing I know, I sat down to meditate and got kind of an instant download. Releasing worry, fear, and doubt. Gotta go do this. And but it's no mistake, because it's a really wonderful season to be talking about this. We're in spring. We have just come through Passover and Easter. It is a season of rebirth and renewal. And so it's a beautiful time to come together in how can we, as we are being reborn into these new energies of spring, come out with a little bit more clarity around a topic that is really potent for a lot of us. I think the first thing I want to kind of name here is that we tend to think of worry, fear, and doubt as a condition of living. Like it's just part of the human experience, and we've been conditioned to think that if we're worrying, if we are afraid, there must be something worth worrying about, there must be something afraid of. It's almost like the worry and fear is a reflection of some reality that is out there. And I'd like to introduce the notion that worry and fear is often kind of like indigestion. It might indicate something's a little off in the system, but it doesn't mean something is fundamentally broken. It doesn't mean the boogeyman is outside the door. It means that there are some conditions in your body and your mind and the cosmos that are causing these thoughts to come up. And that doesn't mean they have to stay there. And that doesn't mean we have to hold on to them. Because worry, fear, and doubt are part of an energy cycle in this universe that I describe as contractive energy. We contract and then we expand. We've talked about this before. You only need to look at childbirth to understand you don't get to new life without the contraction. And the contraction is where the pain is. The contraction is where the difficulty is. The contraction is also where the growth is happening. So an immediate reframing I'd like to invite you all to consider. We can begin to shift our energy around worry, fear, and doubt, where the minute it comes up, you remind yourself, this is a sign that the growth is happening. We often assume that the worry, fear, and doubt is a symbol from our knowing, from the universe, from whatever it is, that something is about to go wrong. If I look back throughout my life and I think about the times that I have been the most afraid, when I've had the most inability to break out of those cycling thoughts, history has shown that those seasons have always preceded tremendous seasons of growth. And often, even if the thing that I was worried about ended up happening, that ended up being a good thing. Because as we have talked about before, nothing that happens in life is ever happening to us. It is always happening for us. And though there are certain seasons of difficulty or challenge that will inevitably arise in life, those are always in service of ushering us towards something new. And so whether the fear is just complete gobbledygook, you've been worried about it for years and it's never actually happened and it's probably not going to happen, or maybe it is your intuition speaking, saying something might be up here, recognize that that is ushering you in a direction that will end well, and you can trust in that process. There's two different types of fear. There's protective fear is a really necessary function in our lives. If we are walking toward the edge of a cliff, it is the getting afraid that might cause us to slow down, look around and go, I better slow down or I'm going to fall off the edge of this cliff. So this thing that has been there to protect us, the problem is it's gotten out of hand. We've allowed it to inundate our thinking. We've allowed it to saturate our brains. We're so used to the fear. We are now becoming afraid for reasons that don't actually exist. We think the cliff is there, but there's nothing but a beautiful meadow out in front of us. And so we're afraid for no reason. So one of the things to begin to differentiate and become aware of, am I afraid because there is actually something that could go wrong that I need to be aware of, that I need to protect myself against? Or is this programmed fear? Is this part of some old story? Is it part of some ancestral condition or cultural anxiety? And if you really tap into your fears, you'll probably be aware. If it's the same fear you've been having for the last 25 years or more, and in fact, you can say that you've always actually been fine, well, it's a great time to begin asking yourself, do I want to live the rest of my days in this cycle? Or would I like to begin doing the work that is required to begin shifting these frequencies? We live in a universe of light and sound. There is a metaphysics under everything that shows up in our lives. And Fear is a low vibrational state. If you think about a guitar and a beautiful high-pitched string that when it dings, it rings and it sounds so good and you can feel that vibration in the air. And then imagine the guitar gets dumped in a river and sits outside for a few years and everything's warped and you hit the low string and it's like, bleh. Fear is that, bleh. And so if you begin to think about this energetically, there are some tools that can help us raise our vibration when we are in those states of fear. Because if you are sitting there afraid about money, about your job, about your health, about your family, whatever it is, what the fear can tell you and guarantee you is that you are in a low vibrational state. And so we so often sit there and allow the fears and allow the anxieties and doubts to just play over and over, which is holding us in that state and pushing us under the water of it. And we think, if we just think this enough, we'll think our way out of it. Maybe I'll find some solution. Maybe the thoughts will just stop. And if we come at these low vibrational thoughts at the level of the thought, we're going to remain stuck there. The counterintuitive thing is to go do something totally opposite. If you're worried about money, don't go grab your checkbook and check the balance for the 80th time in a week. Go out in the sun and drink some water. Go be of service. And I'm going to take a leap here. If you're worried about money, go give some money to someone. Go buy yourself something nice. This shifts these frequencies. And so a few examples of ways that we can raise our vibration. The breathing that we just did. Getting your water bottle and taking a big sip of water. Going outside and getting some movement, moving your body, elevating your heart rate, getting a sweat, being in the sunlight, creativity, singing a song, something as simple as Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. You will find when you're stuck in the throes of one of these fear states, something as simple as singing a song like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star can begin to lift your mood. It will give you a foothold. You might think that this dude does not realize what I'm afraid of is really bad. Okay, I've been through some stuff in this life. I've been through a cataclysmic divorce. I faced homelessness. I have gone bankrupt, literally. So I know this, and I speak from experience. And these things, even in the heart of those worst fear, it may not solve the problem. It may not put the check in the bank in that very same hour, but it will allow you to take a breath. It will allow you to lift yourself. And then this is an iterative state. We so often get in this mindset that we're looking for a miracle to come crashing in to fix everything and solve everything. We need only look at how plants grow for a symbol from the universe of how growth occurs. Things are slow, things are tiny, things are incremental. So even if singing that song only enables you to take one easier breath in the next 5 minutes, that is a foothold towards something else that will expand and lead you in the right direction. Another thing I'd like to really encourage you to think about is the notion of asking for help. And I'm not talking about calling your neighbor and asking for money when you're freaked out about money. I'm talking about something higher. We live in a universe that honors free will. The higher powers that I truly believe as a man of faith are here to support us at all times. They have a very hard time interceding in our lives and making good things happen for us when we don't even believe those forces are there. That's the first challenge. And the second challenge is we have to actually invite in that help. And another act that can kind of bridge raising your frequency into asking for this help is to literally lift your eyes up. The lower vibrational states live down here near the very dense earth plane. The higher vibrational states live up here near the cosmos. So the psalm that says, I lift my eyes to the hills, this is not dogma, this is instruction. And I have a beautiful mountaintop out my window right now. And when the fear begins to set in, I remember to literally lift my eyes up, and you can feel your frequency rise. And while your eyes are there looking in this higher place, you can say, I don't know what is out there. You can even say, I don't even know if I believe in a God. But I know I am hurting right now. I know that I am afraid and I am asking for help. And then you can take it further by saying, I am asking for a miracle. I am asking for this assistance. And what I have learned in my life as someone that has been able to conjure some real miracles in these dark hours is they come. But if you ask for the miracle and then instantly think, well, that's not possible, if you have any doubt at all, the metaphysics principles underlying this universe guarantee that the miracles cannot flow to you. We have to cultivate this belief and faith. So you lift your eyes, you ask for the miracle, and then you release it. You go do something else. You commit yourself that even though I can't stop having this worrisome thought, I'm going to go see a movie, I'm going to call a friend, I'm going to trust that the help is coming, and I'm not going to expect the help to come in the way that I asked. Because the universe likes to keep us on our toes. We are here to learn, and we don't learn in the greatest way by begging for something and always having it given to them. We learn this with our kids. You just hand out what they want the way they demand it, you're going to have a mess on your hands. You trust that the help might come in a very unexpected way, and discerning that unexpected help and receiving it in that unexpected way, this is part of the growth and the transformation that is wanting to come through for you. And faith comes from doing this on repeat. I'm here leading this talk and I do coaching work and I'm in the place I'm in my life because I happen to be living a life where I have this deep wellspring of naturally existing faith. But not everyone has that. And so I'm here to share some tips and tools of how that can be cultivated. It's like lifting weights in a gym. You begin following this guidance, you begin lifting your eyes, you begin raising your frequency, you begin asking for the help, and you start noticing the little magical things that happen. You notice that you're a little worried about money and you do this exercise and now someone behind you in line at Starbucks offered to pay your coffee for you. It's a very small thing. Take note of these things because as you begin to appreciate the little things, the frequency raises, the lens expands, bigger things come. And over the course of a lifetime, you put enough of these experiments and the good data that you get into your little thimble of knowledge, and you begin to cultivate faith. And you can remember your past resilience. I can guarantee that each of you on this call, though you have all gone through very challenging things and possibly even had moments where you did not think you are going to make it, you're here. And you have made it. And so keeping sort of a mental scrapbook of all those moments, well, it did work out that time. The things did come through in just the right moment. I got fired, but then I ended up much happier in my new job. You hold on to those things because when the storm clouds come in, when the vibration lowers, you can call upon those things as aids in giving you the relief that you're looking for. And this darkness, these seasons, these storm clouds, they have a role. We need rain. And I want to be very clear, there are times where through all of our good efforts, we can't push this fear away. It's a wave coming over us that we have to choose to go under the wave versus trying to ride the wave. And so I went through a season about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, where for no good reason, after 8-9 months of not worrying about anything, just kind of being in the money and being in it and feeling great, I fell into a couple of days of deep fear, totally illogical. My body, my being was going through a tremendous growth process. And in that season of growth, some real fears came up. And though I had done all these things I'm asking you to do, it was still there. It was just stuck. And that gave me the understanding this is something I am meant to sit with right now. Because sometimes the practice is learning to transmute and push the fear away. And sometimes the deeper practice, it's like lifting a weight and choosing to hold it at the top of the repetition. We are learning how to be with ourselves in these uncomfortable moments. And so we learn to cultivate self-care. And we learn to begin to think of it as, I am having a operation right now. I am on the universe's surgery table and something is being worked on deep within me, and I'm under anesthesia right now, but it does not feel good in my body. And all these thoughts of losing the house or going bankrupt or the kids having this horrible thing happen or losing the job or whatever it is, it's like this nightmare that I'm having under the anesthesia. And so please consider, if you were having surgery right now and you were under anesthesia and you were having a not very good dream when you were in this surgery, it has no bearing on reality. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's just a very unpleasant movie that is playing during this moment in your life. And so if we can learn to go into a state of self-care, go into a state of awareness around this, and recognize these are just ugly thoughts that I'm having. They have no bearing on reality. This creates an energy that allows them to move more quickly. And so we can support the steady, rapid passing of these storm clouds by not allowing ourselves to fall into a place of buying into these gobbledygook thoughts that come through. One of my favorite quotes is, "Do not believe everything you think." And so beginning to be aware that these are passing clouds, and if you let them pass, you're going to be okay. One of my favorite spiritual teachings, A Course in Miracles, says that every problem comes bearing its own solution. It's all right there in the package. When the horrible thing occurs, encoded in that horrible thing is your way through it, is your rainbow, is your guarantee. This is going to work out for you. So having that faith that the solution is there, and your job is simply to learn how to breathe and care for yourself while this season of fear passes over you, it's going to help you get into the light side, the sunny side, the bright side even sooner. We came here to grow our souls, not to float on comfort. Joy and abundance are not rewards. So they are the natural state of the universe, and they are the byproducts of this kind of inner courageous work that we are talking about. The bottom line is the bottom is not falling out. A breakthrough is coming through. So I invite you all to, in these moments, be aware this is not my natural state of being. This is not just everything going wrong right now. I'm going through a process. It is a process of growth. Care for yourselves in these moments. Raise your frequency. Reach out and talk about it. So often in these moments, we isolate ourselves. We shut down. We go into a vacuum. We ruminate. It's one of the hardest things you will do, to have the courage to pick up the phone or walk into the other room and tell your partner, "I'm scared right now." But there is a power in giving voice to these things. There is a power to having the courage to role model to someone that when you share these things with someone else, you open something up in them that allows them to have a more objective view of their own fear. They're then able to reflect something positive to you, and you have the good karma of having created that together. So you don't have to walk this path alone. We are all here to support each other. All right, folks, last call for conversation. If you're up for it, since we have plenty of time here, I'd like to offer just to do maybe a quick 5-minute guided meditation that can help lift us all into a higher frequency and send us into the Friday and weekend ahead with a little bit more resilience in our field when it comes to all of this. Are folks open to that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, let's do it. I'm gonna ask you to go. I'm just gonna put everybody back on mute. And once again, we'll just sit up to our fullest height. Allow ourselves to feel firm in our seats. Begin to be intentional and aware around our breath. You don't have to force your breath, but just be aware. Deepen the breath. Exhale, fully empty the lungs all the way. Let it feel good to really fill your lungs all the way up to the tippy top. You can practice as you're sitting with closed eyes what we talked about earlier, lifting your eyes up. Even though they're closed, your eyes still move around in there. And picture a beautiful mountaintop right about here at the point between your eyebrows. And lift your eyes up to that space. Continue breathing. And welcome the silence. Have a moment of expressing gratitude in your heart for a moment where there's no mobs outside. I don't think any of us is in acute crisis right now. So we can just be grateful that though more storms will come, this is a moment of peace. And as we're sitting here together with our eyes lifted, we can begin to perceive in the center of our vision, the point where our lifted eyes are gazing, we can begin to see a little ball of golden light. We can imagine that light like a little pinprick of sun shooting through the darkness. And we can feel that light begin to reach us and feel its warmth as the aperture expands and it begins to grow larger. And as the light continues to expand, we feel that beautiful sun-filled light cascading over us. And any thoughts that are coming up right now, we just acknowledge them and we inwardly tip our hat to them. Anything that comes from our thinking is a part of us, and every part of us is good. And just like our misbehaving children sometimes behave a little out of order, they're still good. We still love them. So we acknowledge these thoughts and we allow them to just keep moving as we bring ourselves back to that centered, still place. Checking in with our breath. And now, from the top of our head, we'll just begin to let our awareness scan down through our brain, past our forehead, all the way through the inner workings of our mouth, down through our throat. And as we scan downward, we're just becoming aware of any place where there's tension or disconnection. And as we scan our entire body, moving down through our shoulders, reaching the top of our chest, we seek to really feel these parts of our bodies. When was the last time you really stopped to feel your sternum? Or the top of your belly? Or the place where your spine juts forward towards your belly button? So many forgotten parts of ourselves longing to be acknowledged. As we have more awareness of our bodies, the thoughts of the mind begin to have less power over us. Checking in with our gaze, still pointing upward. Checking in with our breath. And now in this place of light where we are gazing, we begin to visualize and acknowledge some representation of the fears that we have. You might picture ourselves balancing our checkbooks or checking our bank balances or having to go to the doctor or falling into poor health, and we let this light shine all around the representation of these thoughts. And we encapsulate them in the light and we shine our loving energy at them. And we can also in that space visualize ourselves when we are in these states of fear and worry. We can picture ourselves and feel the contrast between this high vibrational place of connection and awareness that we're in right now. And we can feel the difference in the lower frequency of that fear that we're visualizing in our inner eye. But we're shining this light on it. We're not letting that low frequency come into our field. We're just observing it very objectively. And we're sending our love. And we're bathing it in light. And now this light is beginning to expand even more. It's beginning to shine so brightly it could even hurt our eyes if it were a real light. It's so bright, and as this light shines brighter, we can now barely see these thoughts, these lower vibrational fears we were working with. They're almost just completely consumed by this light. Until now all we see is the light, and the light is now traveling toward us and coming through our third eye and our forehead into our brains and into our bodies, and it's traveling into our spine and traveling down through our spine into our hearts, and we feel warm inside. And now, from this state of stillness, we will begin to say together, and I'd like you to, everyone is on mute, I'd like to invite you to say it out loud in your space. I cast aside all mental fear and doubt, making way for the goodness that is mine. I cast aside all mental fear and doubt, making way for the goodness that is mine. I cast aside all mental fear and doubt, making way for the goodness that is mine. And I want you to continue repeating this out loud with me. And you're going to notice that I'm going to begin speaking it more quietly. And we're going to go through a practice of fully encoding and embodying this beautiful mantra. So we're probably going to say it about 12 more times, maybe fewer. And we're getting quieter and quieter until it goes from a whisper into an inward silence. And when we reach the silence, and this is very important, we're going to continue saying it inwardly. This is what will land the vibration in your being. I cast aside all mental fear and doubt, making way for the goodness that is mine. I cast aside all mental fear and doubt, making way for the goodness that is mine. I cast aside all mental fear and doubt, making way for the goodness that is mine. I cast aside all mental fear and doubt, making way for the goodness that is mine. I cast aside all mental fear and doubt, making way for the goodness that is mine. I cast aside all Inhale. Take a moment to really feel in your body, in your heart, and your mind how you might feel different than you did before we joined each other this evening. Offer gratitude to this universe, to this life, to whatever higher powers you might have a relationship with. Offer a mental prayer that you will always have the wisdom to discern the difference between those things that are wanting to get your attention for good reason and that which is just the brain running wild. Commit to yourself that the next time you find yourself in a spiral of anxiety or fear, rather than sitting in it and allowing it to continue as though you are powerless, you will take action. You will speak these words, knowing there is no expectation for you to fix anything, but that you can begin to draw a line in the sand between these thoughts and your deeper knowing that you will be cared for, you will be well, because everything is always working out for us. There's nothing we've ever faced that we have not come through stronger, better, and transformed, for this is the law and the promise of the universe. And for that we say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Amen.